There's antimony, arsenic, aluminum, selenium, and hydrogen and oxygen and nitrogen and rhenium, and nickel, neodymium, neptunium, germanium, and iron, americium, ruthenium, uranium, europium, zirconium, lutetium, vanadium, and lanthanum, and osmium, and astatine, and radium, and gold, and protactinium, and indium, and gallium, and iodine, and thorium, and thulium, and thallium. There's yttrium, ytterbium, actinium, rubidium, and boron, gadolinium, niobium, iridium, and strontium, and silicon, and silver, and samarium, and bismuth, bromide, lithium, beryllium, and barium. Isn't that interesting?
3, 2,
I hope you're all paying
1,
attention.
fire.
There's going to be a short quiz later on.
Okay.
There's holmium and helium and hafnium and erbium and phosphorus and francium and fluorine and terbium and manganese and mercury, molybdenum and magnesium, dysprosium and scandium and cerium and cesium and lead, praseodymium and platinum, plutonium, palladium, promethium, potassium, polonium and tantalum, technetium, titanium, tellurium and cadmium and calcium and chromium and curium. There's sulfur, californium, and fermium, berkelium, and also mendelevium, einsteinium, nobelium, and argon, krypton, neon, red, and zinc, and zinc, and rhodium, and chlorine, carbon, cobalt, copper, tungsten, tin, and sodium. These are the only ones of which the news has come to Harvard. And there may be many others, but they haven't been discovered.
Hello everybody, this is Chemical Charlie and the cameraman is Pie Guy Pepin, and we're going to do a little science video on Epson salts. Epson salts, first of all, they're named for Epson in England, a place in England where there's a lot of this particular salt in the water. And it's magnesium sulfate heptahydrate. Mg is magnesium. It's a +2 ion in this salt. Sulfate, SO4, MgSO4. And then there's 7 hepta water molecules. So the formula is MgSO4.7H2O. Now, 6 of those water molecules are actually attached to the magnesium. Can you see that on the camera there?
Yeah.
And there's 4 in a plane, and then 1 in front and 1 behind. Okay? And then the 7th water molecule is attached to the sulfate. All right? Now, when Epsom salts don't have any color. They're colorless. They're white. I'll just show you what it looks like. Maybe you could do a close-up of this. Pie Guy Pepin. Okay, beautiful white crystals, and if you looked at them, you'd see they're faceted. They have different faces. Now, water does not conduct electricity. A lot of people think it does, but it doesn't. Pure water. Now, this, of course, is tap water, but if it were pure water, it would not be a conductor of electricity. But when this magnesium sulfate, heptahydrate, goes into the water, let me put a little more in. Okay, you can see the crystals down at the bottom. Now, I'm going to take a spoon here and stir it up. And if we had a conductivity meter, we would see that it would be a good conductor of electricity. The positive ions under the an electric field go in one direction, the negative ions in the other. Magnesium is +2, sulfate is -2, and already it's mostly dissolved. It takes a few minutes to dissolve it completely, but it's very soluble in water. Okay? Now, if you tried to dissolve it in something like benzene, it wouldn't dissolve. You need a polar substance like water to get it to dissolve. Water is a molecule that has a separation of the charges, and the oxygen is slightly negative, and the hydrogens are slightly positive. Okay? So the oxygens pull the electrons to them, so it's a polar molecule, whereas benzene is not very polar. So already it's completely dissolved, and we have a homogeneous solution. And you wouldn't know that it was anything in there, but if you drank it, it's not really poisonous. You wouldn't want to drink a lot of it. It's very bitter. It's very bitter, and it will be a laxative. Do you all know what a laxative is? A laxative is something that helps you poop, all right? All right, now, Epsom salts has a lot of uses, and the uses are on the carton here. This is magnesium sulfate, USP, Epson salt, and if you put a lot in water in your bathtub and soak it in there and soak, it'll kind of make your muscles more relaxed and not as sore if you were doing a lot of exercise and overdid it. As I mentioned before, it's a laxative. It will relieve you of constipation, all right? So if you can't go and you take some of that, it's also used as a plant food, all right? It's a plant food, and you can get more information about magnesium sulfate if you went to Wolfram Alpha. Let's do that. It's going to give us some information about it. It's a solid. It's soluble in water, and as I said, it's got drug properties, and it's very soluble in water, and it's got 1 magnesium and 1 sulfate. Okay, so that's Epsom salt. Now, if you kept putting the Epsom salt in there and kept putting it in and dissolving it, eventually you'd reach a limit. And that's true of all salts. Eventually reach a point where you can't dissolve any more of the salt, and that's called the saturated solution. And it's a pretty large amount you can put in before it becomes saturated, all right? And by the way, when you put this in water and you cool down the water, the freezing point is lowered. So whereas normal water will freeze at 0 degrees, if you have a lot of Epsom salt in the water, you can get it to, maybe 10 or 15 or so degrees below 0 before it starts to freeze out. And it freezes out pure water. It doesn't freeze out the salt. Okay, so that's our video today.